what would you say is DeSantis's biggest downside, right? We can all pick apart Trump's biggest downside, but what would DeSantis's biggest downside would be? I don't want to speak for the mayor, but I think what you would say is he hasn't done it before, and this job is so big that it can eat anybody alive. But let's not forget, it kind of ate Trump alive too. And again, I voted for him and support him. He kept Fauci the entire time. He ended up fighting and firing.
I don't think that's the question.
So what would you say? What would you say?
Okay, here's what I would say. I think DeSantis and his camp need to come together at his house or the office and sit down and watch the documentary of Roger Ailes that's called Divide and Conquer, and see how a 25, 26-year-old Roger Ailes helped a Nixon who was a brilliant operator but was not good on camera become a marketer so he can get elected, because Ailes understood marketing. Nixon did not. Nixon wasn't a marketable product. He was not charming. He was not charismatic. Nixon helped with McConnell. Nixon helped with Hannity, O'Reilly, all of these guys. Not Nixon, I'm sorry, Ailes. You need an Ailes in your life, right? Everybody needs an Ailes in your life.
Ailes was my first campaign manager.
There you go, Roger.
And one of my best friends, and I was his lawyer.
How great of a campaign manager was he?
$40 million deal with Fox, which is one of the reasons Fox hates me, because they only wanted to give him $20 million. So I know Roger was a very close friend.
But hear me out on what I'm saying. This is the point I'm making. So I think, first of all, man, I'm going to upset a lot of people. The chances of me ever interviewing DeSantis and him coming to our podcast every day goes lower and lower and lower the more I say what I say. He'll come to you, and you can ask the question that I say, and then you can pose it to him.
I'll put in a good word for you.
But let me tell you what my concern is. Here's my call out is to the following. Who the hell is on his marketing team? Why the hell do you come out with this book in February knowing you can't launch till July, and the book drops out of 100 ranking on Amazon 1 month later? What the hell are you thinking? If you know you can't run till July, you don't launch a book till June. What are you doing launching a book in February? Do it in late May. Do it in June. And then go on a ton of podcasts. Go on a ton of shows.
Patrick,
make sure your book is number one.
You're being too tough on him.
I'm not. I can be tough on him.
No.
Wait a minute. Let me be
the one. He's a first-time candidate. First-time candidates make mistakes.
But no, it's not about. I'm not calling him out. I didn't call him out. I'm calling his marketing team out. My conversation is to the marketing team. Yep. This is not a call out to him. I think he's a phenomenal candidate. I think he's crushed it. We're in Florida because of him. When we were in Dallas and I'm getting ready to go through the process of selling the insurance company, my wife and I and the family sat down and we looked at moving back to Newport Beach. Newsom eliminated that decision like this. We were looking at moving to Greenwich because we're starting a media company, and I'd much rather be in New York to compete with these guys. We're looking at Nashville. I lived in Nashville for a couple years right outside of it. We're looking at Tampa. We're looking at Fort Lauderdale. We're looking at Miami. We're looking at Manalapan. Or we're looking at staying in Dallas, where Dallas was eliminated. Greenwich was eliminated because of the way they were handling COVID. Nashville, we like the water. The beach is not that good in Nashville. We like the beach more in Florida. So we decided on Florida because of DeSantis. Yeah. So this is not a message I'm giving. It's the criticism to the marketing campaign. I went and talked to one of the biggest churches in town. I won't name the person. They came and we started working with these guys. I sat with their marketing team and I said, can I just talk to your marketing team directly and give me the permission to call them out and let them be pissed off at me, not you? He says, go for it. I said, you're dealing in a time right now where parents are frightened to send them to public school because their kids are coming home saying, Mom, I got a call on a Max 7 this week saying a guy was holding one of our guys' hands in a private school in Dallas saying, hey, I like you, I'm gay. This kid is 10 years old, 12 years old, flirting with this other guy. The mom doesn't know how to handle it. She's worried. She's afraid. What does she do about it? So many parents right now are frightened about where to send their kids transgender. Well, this kid's transgender. How about you? Have you thought about having this? Are you sure you're straight? Is it only this? Have you thought about having this? All this confusion that you have, churches should be packed right now. Every church in America should be packed right now. What the hell are the marketing teams at these churches doing? So my call is not a call out to the pastors. My call is a call out to the marketing team of the DeSantis campaign. That's all it is. Not Ron. Yeah. It's the marketing team.
Well, actually, I think, first off, I will gladly, I'm sure you guys have reached out in every possible way, but I will gladly try to get that up the chain. That's just one thing, because you should,
marketing campaign
sit down with him, obviously.
Stay away from PBD.
No, they won't. Well, but think about it.
If you're watching, you know you did. You've said stay away from PBD because you're scared, marketing team. Not Ron, you are. They're holding them back.
You're known as fair as possible, so I don't know what's going on there. But putting that aside for a second, what your criticism of, which is totally legit, you have a very solvable problem, right? What you just laid out there was a very solvable problem.
Terrible timing on the book.
You could even you could be the guy to sit down with him and say, hey, this is what the problem is, and I can actually help you solve for that problem.
He doesn't trust a lot of people, which you can't blame him.
That may be, but in essence, you're giving. I asked you for the biggest criticism, and your criticism, which I'm not arguing with, is actually very solvable. Like you can.
It is.
Yes. So that doesn't seem that deep. Not that deep. It doesn't seem
Dave,
that.
How do you launch a book and you only do a couple shows thinking the book is going to sell on its own?
Well, I think it was #1 New York Times.
For how long?
But that whole thing
2
is
weeks.
nonsense. Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case with the #1 governor in America that had a state that everybody wanted to move to. That should not be I read the whole book.
Yeah.
That should not be the case. And if you read the book, you will see how many times he gave credit to Trump in the book.
Yeah.
A lot of people on New York Times or somebody wrote an op-ed saying the fact that he took shots at Trump. There was no shots at Trump. He kept giving credit if it wasn't for the tweet, if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that. That book was marketed in the shittiest way possible. Again, I'm okay being the target. All I'm saying is the marketing team deserves the criticism.
Sure. I'll also say this, having launched my second book just a couple months before that, I mean, I fired basically everyone I worked with. The book industry is so old and broken.
It's not.
I'm not saying that's an excuse.
You can't blame the book. I'm dealing with Simon & Schuster and Penguin. Here's what I said to them the other day. We have a call. Mario, if Mario's somewhere around here, he remembers when he was on the call. Mario, you're somewhere around here. They said, well, we think this should be the title. I said, okay, cool. You want that as a title, Vinny? We can hear you. You want that as a title? Yes. Okay. Oh, we think this should be the title. I said, can I just pause and ask a question? Yes. If you guys plan on selling the shit out of this, pick the title. Go for it. But if you want me to sell the book, I want this title. And you see everybody's faces. This is a pretty heavyweight guy. I got a lot of respect for him. I love this guy, matter of fact. He's a stud of a guy. He says, well, you know what? Why don't you pick the title? I said, no shit, I want to pick the title. Because you want me to sell the book. You don't sell a book nowadays asking the publisher to sell your book. They're not marketers.
No, they do nothing.
So again, marketing team, change your strategy. You got watch the Roger Ailes documentary, Divide and Conquer, tonight.
Can I add
Great, it's a solvable problem, yeah.
By the way, he made me watch that documentary. Amazing documentary. Go watch that tonight when you get home, guys. But I feel like you have a product and you have marketing. We talked about this. Natalia will know this. I would much rather have a marketing problem than a product problem. Because if you have a shitty product, what the hell are you marketing? Okay? But if you have a great product, i.e. Ron DeSantis, you can clean up the marketing. So say what you want about Trump. He does not have a marketing problem. The problem is kind of the product. But DeSantis, in my opinion, I think is a great product, but he needs to relook into his marketing.
I think that was a very irresponsible comment about him not being a great product. He was probably the best president we've had in 50 years. So when DeSantis can be the best president for 4 years, I'll agree with you. But DeSantis hasn't been in the White House. He was not a particularly effective congressman. He was a terrible candidate when he ran the first time for office. And by the way,
let
me finish. You can't separate the product and the marketing. That's bullshit. That's lack of leadership. I never separated from my team. I'm responsible for my marketing. I'm responsible for my press secretary. I'm responsible for my administration. If I did that, I would have been a lousy mayor. So if you're telling me that you want to do a separation of, well, let's blame the marketing, but not the guy who's in charge, Ron DeSantis, you don't have a leader. You got a follower. The marketing team is running everything. Of course he's responsible for his marketing. He's responsible for everything that happens in the damn campaign. And if he's not, he shouldn't be president. We don't know if he is like that. I honestly think it's more important that we keep Democrats out of the White House than any of these guys. Than DeSantis, than Trump, than Cruz, or I'd be willing to consider somebody else if they had a better chance of saving this country.
RFK? Robert?
No, I know RFK for years. He sued me more than anybody else. And I love his book, but the rest of him is off of space in Mars somewhere. Did you ever listen to some of the things that he says? I mean, woo! Great guy, but woo! So, no, he can't be president. My God. Wow. That would be scary. But in any event, Ron DeSantis right now is an ephemeral something. It's a year and a half before the election. He's not really campaigned, as you pointed out. That's his responsibility, not his marketing team, unless his marketing team is running things, right? If I don't like, I run my campaign. Roger Ailes was my campaign manager. I still ran my campaign. I didn't blame, when something went wrong, I didn't blame it on Roger Ailes.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.